Good afternoon and welcome to VetNet Business Research Overview. And my name is Elvis Avdic, and this session is brought to you by the IVMF. IVMF is an institute that has a lot of portfolios that help veterans and their families start and grow their business, transition, as well as start and grow their careers. IVMF is also engaged in cutting edge research and community work, and last year alone we have serviced over 32,000 veterans and their family members. If you'd like to find out more about IVMF and more we do, please visit our ivmf.syracuse.edu. And before we start session, I would like to just go over some ground rules. And individuals watching live on the YouTube, please, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box. If you cannot type your questions in the chat box, make sure you're logged into your YouTube account or any other Google accounts. And individuals that will be participating live in this session, so make sure your microphones are muted if you're not speaking until you have the questions. Right now, I'm gonna pass it down to our guest speaker, Stephanie, and have her introduce herself. Stephanie.
Okay, thank you. I am Stephanie McReynolds. I'm the Business Management and Entrepreneurship Librarian at Syracuse University Libraries. And first of all, I want to be sure to thank you all for your service. And also thank you for giving me this opportunity to show you some resources that I hope will be helpful to you as entrepreneurs and business owners. So to give you an idea of what we're going to cover today, I'm going to start by introducing you to the concept I'm calling a good mindset for research. And next I'm going to give an example of identifying industry codes or NAICS codes. Then with those codes, we're going to spend some time on finding industry and demographic data through American FactFinder, which is freely available to anyone with internet access, thanks to the United States Census Bureau. And we'll also take a look at a few other free websites for industry and company financial information. And hopefully, if we have time, I'll also show you how to search the company database Reference USA. I've chosen to show Reference USA because it seems to be very prevalent in public libraries. So it's quite likely if you have access to a public library that you'll have access to this company directory database. And then if we have time after that, I'd like to show you how to search for in-depth company information and industry reports through Business Insights Essentials, which, like Reference USA, if you have access to a public library, you probably have access to Business Insights Essentials. So Elvis is going to help keep us on track, and we'll jump in with facilitating any questions and perhaps providing some insight and connections and how you might actually use the type of information and data that we're going to cover today. So with that, let's go ahead and begin. Okay, so I'm going to start with an overview of the mindset for research. So I think that Google is a great tool and one that many of us use, including librarians, every day. But I think with all of the information that seems to be at our fingertips, sometimes we are under the impression that research is easy and quick. And when you start to do some research, discover that's not always the case, and it can be discouraging. So research is more of a process, and sometimes the question itself will change depending on the information and data that you find or the data that's not available. And often it involves consulting multiple sources and then synthesizing or putting together and making sense of what you've found before you can even begin to answer certain questions. So given this reality, I always encourage students to take a deep breath and try to get in the right mindset before you even begin. And I think this involves, research requires curiosity, persistence, creativity, and a lot of patience. So I'm going to give you an example, a real example to hopefully make this more concrete. There was an entrepreneur who was interested in finding out where Central New York State residents were buying residential real estate abroad and from which countries international buyers who are purchasing residential real estate in Central New York State originated. along with identifying their motivations for buying. So it had a couple questions in there, a lot of good curiosity, and we thought this information would help make some business decisions. So his professor thought it'd be pretty easy to find this type of data. He thought maybe a New York Times article might have this. So we started there. We looked at newspapers, including local publications, and we found some interesting articles, nothing exactly like what he needed. So clearly this was going to require a lot more persistence. So we started thinking more about who cares about this data, and we decided to search real estate trade publications as well as the websites of real estate associations. And we discovered a number of useful articles and reports, but again, nothing that was exactly what he wanted. So then I reached out to my network of librarians, business librarians, and when the librarian at the National Association of Realtors got back and said, the particular data he's looking for just doesn't exist right now, we knew that we could stop looking for that and take a look at what we had already uncovered. So the National Association of Realtors had a really great in-depth report about the residential purchases of their international clients. It just didn't get to the central New York area. It didn't get location specific like he would have liked. So then he, as the entrepreneur, had to decide, do I have enough information to kind of make some connections and draw some inferences from the great resources that I do have, or do I need to consider conducting primary market research and surveying people to find the data that he needed. So throughout this whole process, curiosity, persistence, creativity, and a lot of patience was involved. And in the end, he did end up with a lot of great resources. So going on to another really important part of this process, it's really a good idea to think about who cares about the data, who cares enough to spend the time and resources to gather it, analyze it, and then publish or make available findings. Oops. So here's a short list of those who have spent time and resources on gathering and making data and information available. So as you might imagine, the government has a number of websites that you can use, professional associations, like I mentioned, National Association of Realtors, it's like Marketing Week, beverage industry, of course, newspapers, magazines, market and industry research firms, and you may have access to some of these databases through a local university or a public library, as well as some of these summaries of these reports are available via press releases, and sometimes you can glean some data that way. And of course, academic researchers cover just about any topic you can think of, so you might even find books and scholarly journals on your topic. And of course, libraries, university, public, and special libraries. Please keep in mind that you might have access to your local university library. I know at Syracuse University Libraries, anyone in the community who wants to come in and bring a laptop can connect to our university's guest Wi-Fi and then have access to our resources, I think for up to 2 weeks at a time. So local colleges and universities might have that type of model as well, and I'd be happy if you have questions later to try to figure out what you have access to based on your location. So I want to give a really quick example of how thinking about who cares might help save some time in the research process. So there was another group of students who were planning to create a product that would improve safety on construction sites. And they were hoping to find out how many injuries occur on construction sites in the United States. So here, take a look at the list and see, where do you think they might start to find this data? And Elvis, can we take answers via chat, or will that work? So if you're,
Yes, we can. So everybody watching on a live YouTube, so if you can type your answers in a chat box, that we appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so if you were to look for trying to find the number of injuries that occur on construction sites in the United States, taking a look at this list, where might you begin? If you have any ideas, you can type it into the chat. And Elvis, you'll have to help me if the answers are coming in. I'm not seeing those.
Steph, can you open your chat box in the right corner? And we have a few answers.
Okay.
Just the left top corner, the little blue thing.
Hold on a second.
So we have Viz Ranger. They can look at the OSHA and David Trucker OSHA.
OSHA, yes, great, thank you. Exactly. So, so you're right, they found exactly what they needed, this statistic of number of injuries that occur in construction sites in the United States. I think within a few clicks of going to Occupational Safety and Health Administration website, whereas before they had been Googling for basically Googling the question and wasting a lot of time not really finding anything. So that's an example of how taking a step back and thinking, who really cares about this data enough to put it together and publish it and make it available publicly will save some time. So great, thanks for that answer. Okay, let's go on. So I mentioned libraries and other resources, and what we're going to spend some time on today are some websites on the EBV info portal. This is one starting point for your business research. And I don't know, is everyone familiar with EBV, or do you want to explain a little bit about that, Elvis? Well, EBV is a program for veteran entrepreneurs, and even if you haven't gone through the program, anyone can get to this page of websites, and these are freely available websites that have been put together by librarians who are involved with EBV across the country. So I thought I'd go ahead and start here and show some of the resources, but are there any questions before we begin this part of it? Okay. Okay, so it looks like we're okay. Okay, so are you all seeing the EBV National Info Portal? Okay, great. The first place that I thought I'd begin is just give an overview of industry codes, or NAICS codes. So this is in the industry box, and I'm going to click on NAICS codes. And if you're not familiar with industry codes, they're a way to put together companies or firms that do similar work. And with these kind of broad umbrella codes, we can go ahead and find out statistical information about the industry and companies within the industry. So this is a link that gives you an idea. Here's a good example that they have right here. For instance, the sector for retail trade, there's a 2-digit code. And as you go on further, you get more specific. So there's 441, motor vehicle and parts dealer, other motor vehicle dealers, and then motorcycle, boat, and other motor vehicle dealers. And it gets more specific from there. So let me show you a sample search. I'm going to go click on North American Industry Classification System. And we will go ahead and do a search for fitness. Let's say one popular business that people have is to start something fitness related. I just got an error message. Try that again. Okay. I'm going to go try another search. We'll try software. Let's see if it's just the page is not working right now, maybe. Okay. Well, usually you can do a keyword search and get several results. That doesn't seem to be working. So we'll take a look at the tables, 2017 NAICS tables, and they're not working either. I apologize, I'm not sure why it's not working. But basically, what we would do is search by keyword. Often you'll have to try a number of different searches and also browse the tables to see whether you're missing anything. But the code for fitness and recreational sports centers.
Hi, Stephanie.
Yes.
We have a question from
Oh, no,
Avis.
yes.
He
Okay,
said,
sure.
thank you. A question from Avis is, he's like, I'm sorry, but can you note how you get to this location again? Can't see the slides.
Yes. Okay, I apologize. Let me get back to the right place here. Okay, so I clicked the link from the presentation, but the URL is right here. Maybe I'll just put this in the chat. That would work, so that everyone can get to this. So this is the page where I am, and then I'll start from there. Okay, so I'm on the EBV Info Portal websites page, and then in the industry box right in the middle, I clicked on NAICS codes. Which took us to this page, North American Industry Classification System. Actually, there's another stuff, I'm sorry. This is the example, and then I clicked over here in the corner, related information for the North American Industry Classification System, to try to show you a sample search, but that hasn't been working. I'll try one more time. Yeah, it's not working. So anyway, since it's not working, I'll just go on and show you how you can use these codes. I'm sorry we can't go over in more in depth about the NAICS tables. So let's go ahead and say that we found our code for fitness and recreational sports centers, which is 771. Yeah.
Can you please make sure you share your screen?
Okay.
I think you output it. Thank you.
Okay, so can you see the EBV National Info Portal?
That's good.
Okay, I apologize. So we've got our code, 713940, and let's go over to the market research box over here on the left, and I'm going to click on American FactFinder. This is one way to get to census data, as well as basic business statistics as well. So I'm going to go to the guided search, and I'm looking for information about businesses or industries. And I'm actually going to skip through the topic. I'm not going to select anything there, but geography, I'm going to select New York. Go to add that to my selections. So New York State has been added. And then here's where we can enter our industry code, 713940. And it's coming up with suggestions. Yes.
It's not shared.
It's not shared?
Stop.
Okay. Make sure these are all closed. Okay. Okay, it shows that it's sharing. So are you seeing the American FactFinder census data? What do you suggest? Should I just go over there? I'm
Yes.
sorry.
If you want to
Okay.
come over.
Okay, I apologize, everyone.
They only see the ABB National Info Portal.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not working.
Okay, so why don't you? Here. Put this aside. And watch this one here. Let's open,
Yeah, just.
just a second. Use my headphones.
Okay.
Hopefully. Okay. So you share the screen.
Okay. Let's see if we can get this to work from here. Okay, so
Just put them in.
okay, and then the microphone is there. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Oh, it's working. Okay, so we're at American FactFinder. I was trying to show you how you can find some industry information. So I used the guided search. I'm looking for information about businesses or industries. Okay, I'm going to skip the topic and geography. We're going to go to New York. So New York State, and then we're going to enter our industry code, 713940, which is fitness and recreational sports centers. I'm going to select this and add this to the search. And here's the available data. So you can see the NAICS code, number of establishments, how many employees, first quarter payroll, annual payroll, and we can go back to our search results and get more specific. So you can even do this by county or zip code for some more specific information. 13039, I'm putting in the zip code 13039 and taking out New York State. So now we're just looking at this zip code. You'll see the number of selections goes down. And then you see for this zip code, Cicero, New York, we've got the number of establishments. You can see it's right here, 6. So you can get pretty specific for some basic business counts. And let's go back to the main American FactFinder. I want to show you how to find, quickly find demographic information. And we could do anything. Let's say Memphis, Tennessee. So you've got information about, basics, about demographics, by age, some basic information there. And then over here, you can use the sidebar over here to get more specific about income, veteran status, race and Hispanic origin, poverty, origins and language. So a lot of really great demographic information about your potential customers right here. And then you can also use the advanced search. So I know something that's come up, we'll get Memphis, Tennessee out of here, although you can limit it by geography a number of times, is something related to ride sharing. So transportation, let's do a keyword search. So this would be helpful to know. You can add a geographic limiter if you wanted to, but means of transportations work by age. So who drives alone, who carpools, who might be interested in a ride-sharing type of service. So American FactFinder is the main way to get to a lot of census data on business counts as well as demographics. I'll make sure that you're aware of this as a resource. Are there any questions about this before going on to the next resource? Okay. I want to show you back on the EBV National Info Portal and the industry box. Industry snapshots is another way to get some industry information. And again, this is once we have an industry code that can be useful. So I'm going to put in that 713940 again. Fitness and recreational sports centers. And we'll see we have a snapshot for the United States, and we can also get to the state level if we want to. We can look at, they have number of establishments, number of employees, revenue, payroll, population, etc. We want to change the map. So this is drawing from that census data, just putting it together in a more graphical representation. So a really great way to find some industry information. To also show you the link down here in industry valuation resources. Here, this is by SIC code, which is another way of classifying companies. There's SIC and the NAICS industry codes. So for this, I'm actually going to search for, we're not sure which one includes fitness. I did a Control F keyword search for fitness, and here are health clubs and fitness centers. And what this has done is compile various reports, market research and industry reports about this industry, related to this industry. Now you will note that you'll likely come to a paywall, like if you try to get into some of these reports, but this is nice because some of them are freely available and others you can get to, even just the report description has some information right there. So it saves you time versus just Googling for all these various market research and industry reports. And then another resource in the market research box, we have My Best Segments, Nielsen Prism data. So I showed you how to get some demographic information from American FactFinder, which is census data. Oh, good question. SIC can be used, and definitely our databases, some of the research databases, you can use either one. NAICS industry codes were supposed to supersede SIC, but both are used, and sometimes it really depends on your company or industry as to which one you use. For instance, I've found more targeted results sometimes with the SIC codes than I have with NAICS, but usually NAICS is generally what is used most often. So I'm not sure if that was a clear answer, but so let's take a look at, this is demographic information from Nielsen, and we can look up a zip code. It doesn't really matter which one. I'll just do an old zip code of mine, 63109. So here they have some basic information: household composition, income, population by age, and then the most common segments for this zip code: American Dreams, Cosmopolitans. And if you click on this, you'll get a better understanding of what does Nielsen mean by the American Dreamers. Some lifestyle and media traits, some demographic traits, etc. And these other tabs, more about Prism, just some more demographics. Now with this, you can get some basics, but as far as really detailed information, this is something that's generally just available in specific market research databases. But still, even this can give you an idea of who might be in this area and what are their characteristics. I know this is a resource that professors in the entrepreneurship program recommend to those, especially who don't have access to all of this really in-depth data. So this is a highly recommended resource to take a look at. And all of these actually are worth a look. I'll point out another good one is the American Time Use Survey. So again, we're still in this long market research box right here. There are a lot of resources right here. So you can find information about, how people are spending their time. Something that kind of jumped out at me is this press release, providers of elder care in the US, because I know, recently a couple of entrepreneurs have come to me because they're creating either an app or a service that targets people who provide elder care. So here, publicly available, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, here's some information about unpaid elder care in the United States, who's providing the service, how much time are they spending on it. So this is another example of the type of information that you can get here. And then they have some charts. We'll take a look at students. So how are students, university and college students, spending their time? So if you had something that was targeting, university and college students, here's some great graphics right here to take a look at. So just an example of the type of information that's available from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And I want to show you over here in the company box, SBA size up. So here you don't need an industry code. You can start typing in a keyword. So we'll stick with our fitness, health and fitness centers, and we can enter our city. And we'll take a look at competition. So this maps other fitness centers in the area, depending on what you'd put there. You can add if you sell to other businesses, some other business categories that might be relevant. Suppliers. So fitness equipment and supplies might be a good one to take a look at. And that can be mapped here as well. So we've got competitors, some of the exercise suppliers as well. And then, let's see all 10 businesses. When you get to this point, okay, yeah, here we go. If you create a free account, you'll have access to their full business directory and some of the other resources. And so this is one that I had actually just recently discovered. They've partnered with the SBA to provide this. So I think it's, that's a sign that it's very reputable, in my opinion. It's a great service to kind of visualize some of this data you might be interested in, as well as a company directory to explore that's freely available. So those are a few of the freely available websites that I wanted to point out. There are many more to take a look at, and I'd be happy to help people if they have questions about those. Are there any questions before I go on to a couple of the other databases that you probably have access to through a public library? Okay, so I'm not hearing any questions, so I'll go ahead and go on. I'm actually going to go to show you these resources. I'm going to go to our library website, just as an example, but you don't have to, you can just kind of follow along. You won't have access to these right now. So I'm going to my main subject guide here at Syracuse University. And you'll see some of our top databases right here. The company information database that I mentioned that's available in a lot of public libraries is Reference USA. Okay. So here you have, there's a consumer database. You can look up individual consumers as well as by lifestyles, by their different interests, you know, the magazines they read, etc. And you can compile a list of consumers that way. But usually what people go to Reference USA for is the US businesses database. So this is where you can enter a company, or if you go to the advanced search, here's where we can use our SIC or NAICS code. So you mentioned SIC, you can definitely use those here as well. And I'm going to search primary NAICS industry code first. I'm putting in that same one, 713940. We can update our business count. And then we could limit by city or state. We do a map-based search. To New York, at least. Oops. I'll take a look at our results. So here's a list of companies in that industry code. And then what you can do with this, you can take a look at the heat map, which shows by either location, sales volume, number of employees. And we can zoom in to get a little more detail. There we go. So that's a neat visualization tool that's available through Reference USA. We'll go back to our results. And you can, if you click on one of these businesses, you'll get more information about it. So they have the location, sales volume, you know, estimated annual expenses in various categories, office equipment, payroll, benefits, etc., employee size by year, sales volume by year. And then this whole list can be downloaded into Excel, so you can take a look at the data there. We can arrange by sales. If that data is available, there's a number of different things you can do with this company information. So the other database I'd like to show before ending and giving you a chance to ask questions if you have any is Business Insights Essentials. And this one is commonly available in public libraries. This has company information, industry information. We'll go ahead and look up Microsoft just as an example, but any publicly traded company, they're going to have a lot of in-depth information about. They do have private companies, just not as much information as they do on public. So here you can find out SWOT reports, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats right here. You can find out the company chronology, the company history, which is sometimes helpful even for entrepreneurs to see, well, where did this company start? You know, get some idea of how even the big players began and learn more about that for some insights. Market share reports, so this will have probably a lot to do with software, file sharing services, software publishers, percentages available there. Financials, they have in-depth financials. So the financials dashboard is working this time. It is. So in-depth financials right here under research, you can get to the quarterly reports and the 10Ks, which are the annual reports, which are also available through Edgar, freely available to anyone. So if you want to take a look at annual reports on publicly traded companies, those are available to you as well. I want to be sure to show you the company hierarchy. We switch this to industry search. And we can put in a code or a keyword, so fitness and recreational sports centers. Here are some industry essays. So physical fitness facilities, here's an industry snapshot, background information, and I like that they provide references at the end so you can get an idea of where else you might look for more information. There's a publication, looks like titled Club Industry, you might want to explore, you know, some other leads that way as well. And then, of course, we got into the market share reports through the company, but you can also search for market share reports here as well. So we could do fitness. So largest gym firms worldwide. Okay. Oh, is there a question?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the resources to determine trends, lessons learned in the industry. Yes, so some of those industry essays that I was mentioning in Business Insights, definitely look there, as well as, let's get back to this, on the EBV info portal. So industry snapshots, valuation resources, I would look there, as well as you know, business and industry census data to go more in depth in different industries. Those are some places to look. Okay. Get an idea on future. Yeah, that's likely to be in, you know, industry snapshots and some of the business and industry census data, as well as the valuation resources where you can get to some of those industry reports. I will say another really great resource for that, which you might have available to you through the public library or university library, is IBIS World. So I will briefly show you that because it's pretty common. So I'll give you an idea. It might be worth trying to figure out whether you have access to IBIS World for something like this. So here's an industry report on gym, health, and fitness clubs in the US. Industry outlook, industry performance, competitive landscape, major companies, operating conditions, some key statistics. So that might be worth a look if the census data and the publicly available data isn't giving you exactly what you need. I can help you try to figure out, you know, whether you have access to IBIS World through a university or a public library for this sort of in-depth outlook and information. And also, I will say I'm happy to help out anyone who has questions individually as well. We could talk on the phone or email, whatever works for you, and I can, you know, see based on what you're looking for, where might you begin to find the data or information. So are there any questions or? Okay. Okay. I've got some questions coming in. Okay, good questions. So it looks like a couple people are looking for financial information. I would say go ahead and explore the SBA Size Up and see what they provide there. My best bet, which hopefully you all have access to Reference USA, is Reference USA for that financial information about your competitors. But you may be able to see what SBA Size Up includes. From what I could tell, it didn't go into a great deal of depth as far as the financials, but that might be one to explore. Let's see. Yeah, so for finding revenues of the coffee shop around the corner, definitely Reference USA. Maybe trying to see whether you have access to that through a library would be a good thing to do if SBA Size Up doesn't have it. And a particular question, sorry, I'm getting lost in here. So temporal mandible joint disease, it depends on what you want to find there, but I know PubMed is a publicly available database for that, and we can also, Bonnie, talk more about that if you're having trouble finding information, but that's more medical, I would think. So PubMed might be a good resource for that. Oh yes, my contact info, thank you. So here, let me go ahead and, I'm on the EBV info portal, and I'll just go ahead and copy and paste this into the chat as well. Okay. So I think that's what I wanted to show you today. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. Are there any more questions before we sign off? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Elvis, is there anything that you wanted to add? Okay, so no more questions? You can go ahead. What's that?
I'm sending an email with the recorded video.
Okay, so Elvis is going to send you an email with the recording, and you have my contact information, and he'll include my contact information there as well. So hopefully this gives you some good starting points for research, but I know it's just the beginning, and I'm happy to take questions or talk to you individually as well. So thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.